This is NicheSportz, the weekly rugby league chat. We usually do a review, preview. We're going to eventually turn it into a podcast this week. We've got a very special guest, in my opinion. He promotes a lot of rugby league in Scotland. Bit of an unsung hero. His name's Lewis. You can find him on Twitter at RLinScotland. It is all one abbreviation. It is all one like that. Yeah. Let's dive straight in then, mate. Tell us a bit about yourself, Lewis, and what you do, what your page is all about.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. Pretty much what the page is trying to grow the game of rugby league in Scotland. As you guys know, it's not as big up here. It's not a heartlands game, and it's outshadowed by rugby union in quite a big way. So, how it really started was I went to the Rugby League World Cup last year, the opening game, England Samoa, just with some of my mates. We thought we'll go down to Newcastle, not too big a trip. And when we were there, a couple behind us were sort of asking us, "Oh, are we going to watch the Scotland game the next day in Newcastle?" And we didn't have a clue it was on. I kind of told you sort of who was playing for Scotland at the World Cup back then in October. So it was on the way back, and I was just sort of thinking, what can I do to sort of help this grow? I love rugby league. I've been watching it for years now, and there's just none of it offered where I grew up. There's no rugby league offered to play. It was always union. You played union through school and up into the senior team and stuff. So I thought, what can I do? So I'd done a wee bit of research into what was currently in place in Scotland, the teams that existed, and I found that a wee bit hard at first to find some good information on what was going on with rugby league in Scotland. The website was maybe a wee bit outdated. There wasn't very much information, and although the Scotland Rugby League Twitter and Instagram was quite active during the World Cup for the professional game, obviously, there wasn't much on the amateur game. So I'd done a bit of searching, and I started a Twitter page. I went on to the Scotland Rugby League page and just seen who followed them and who they were following, and just followed a load of accounts pretty much.
That's the way to do it, mate.
Exactly how I started as well.
Yeah, just sort of find the right audience was the goal. So a few tweets sort of surrounding the World Cup and Scotland's performances and what can be done after the World Cup on the back of the way the game grew because of all the games being televised and whatnot. A few of the tweets gained a bit of traction, but then to be honest, I sort of fell off of doing it a wee bit at the end of last year, and I must have logged back into my Twitter one day, the start of this year, late January sort of time. I thought I'm going to pick this back up properly again because it's something I'm passionate about, something I want to do. So I started reaching out to people, which was the best thing I've ever done, to be honest. Speaking to a couple of the pro players, I started my Instagram at the same time, which gained a good bit of traction. I was speaking to the clubs and people involved in Scotland Rugby League. So I've done interviews with Dale Ferguson, the Scotland captain, Ewan Aitken, who plays for the Dolphins in the NRL, stuff like that. Just it was at the time just written interviews, so I'd just ask them the question over a message, and they'd write back. And so I started a website as a place to showcase these interviews. I was posting them to my Instagram and Twitter as well with links, and it sort of picked up a bit of traction from there. In the last week or so, I got to go along to Glasgow Rugby League training, who are one of the 4 teams in amateur teams in Scotland, and I've done a wee bit of a preview of their season. I took some video, done some interviews with a couple of the players involved there, and just last night actually put out the YouTube channel, and with my
seen it.
Very good.
So it's really, really good.
That's I just sort of was teaching myself, as we all do, just a YouTube video on how to cut these clips together and make something happen. So it was quite pleased with how that turned out, and it's gained a decent wee bit of traction for a first video in the first couple of days. And on Sunday of last week as well, I was able to go to the Scotland wheelchair session through in Glasgow as well. So it's been good to be involved with the people that are so involved with Scotland Rugby League. The team manager, Alex Chandler, was the one who invited me to the Glasgow session and the Scotland wheelchair session as well. So I feel like it's picked up a bit, making good connections, and being noticed by the right people. And I think with the goal with the previews, like I done with Glasgow, and I'm looking to get out to the other clubs, is to sort of give it a bit of something in the media, make people realize it's going on, because like I said, when I first started, I didn't know what was going on, what clubs there were. So we've got Glasgow Rugby League, like I said, the Forth Valley Vikings, Aberdeen Warriors, and Edinburgh Eagles, who Edinburgh Eagles were meant to be playing down south in a league, but I'm not too sure what's happened there, but it was announced last week that they'll be joining the Scottish League again this year. So a 4-team league, with fixtures sort of starting at the end of this month for a couple of months, and the Scottish Cup as well. The winner of that goes into the first round of the Challenge Cup. So some people might have seen that the Edinburgh Eagles were on a BBC Sport game earlier in the year, which they unfortunately lost. But there's that opportunity there to go bigger. I just wanted to try help that along its way and do whatever I could to expose the sport to more people, where in a place where it's not talked about very much.
Well, that's why we're called Niche, because we're focusing on niche sports, and especially for you, from your point of view, you're in the most niche area when it comes to rugby league. I mean, a lot of my family and friends are from Belfast, Ireland, and it's the same as your neck of the woods. All union, Ulster and stuff like that. There's absolutely no league. Well, there is now, but it's starting to gain traction, like you said, in Scotland. My hometown club, Swinton Lions, they linked up with Belfast Eagles. That's a good community club, and there's a couple of others as well. But I think it's a relatively small league, like in Scotland. I think it's like 6 or 7 teams or something like that. But then obviously they can. They get to qualify for the Challenge Cup and stuff. But I don't think I've come across anybody that pushes it in Ireland like you do so far, which there's a market there for it as well. So you could think about.
What's that? Sorry, it cut off a wee bit there.
Did it? Sorry. You said you could think about doing the both, with Scotland and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, definitely. Like say, sort of see what traction this gains, and if I'm able to build that bit of a reputation, I could put myself out there.
It's all about branching out, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what I've been able to do. If there's anything I can do to help, and that was always the goal. I never wanted to go in and say, "Oh, Scotland Rugby League's not doing a good enough job," or step on anyone's toes or that. I just wanted to go in and help it along its way, and because. It's not like down south where you guys are, and where there's lots of money involved. Like in Scotland, there's hardly any money involved, and as far as I'm aware, very little people involved in Scotland Rugby League are getting a paycheck out of it. It's all voluntary, so it was never going into as, look, this is a career Scottish Rugby League. I just wanted to do what was best for the sport, because I started enjoying it through watching the NRL and then the Super League and stuff, and I think people just don't give it the chance. And because it's a summer, like the games are being played across the summer, the union season's finished now, so there's an easy transition there. And we've got rugby sevens, which I get, but that's 7 to 10 players out of like a 30-man squad from each union team. There's so many players there that will be sitting doing nothing over the summer months or waiting for pre-season to start, when they could get involved. And with all those players, there'd be options for so many teams.
It's a huge market there, isn't there, to invest into, and think what you're doing definitely promotes that and helps to bring more eyes to it. And especially, as you say, with a union season finishing, easy transition to make from people going from union to league and back and forth and going both games as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's a difference, and there's that old stigma of the two sports not combining too well and not liking each other. But when I was at the Glasgow League session, so they've been using the grounds of a rugby union club, and a couple of the union boys from that club had gone to give it a try, and I spoke to them, and they loved it, and they were like, "There's going to be more of us in the same boat joining next week," and it's just about giving it a chance, because like I said, there's that old embedded stigma of the two codes not going hand in hand, but I don't see why not. It's if it means more games, more people playing, then it can only be a good thing.
I totally agree with that, especially when it comes to union. It's there's a lot of league fans, we dub it as Yarnian over here. But I don't mind it. I think the internationals, I prefer watching international rugby union than club rugby union.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends play it and stuff, and I have been along sometimes. And with my club, Swinton, that we share our ground with a rugby union club, and they do a lot together. I mean, it's all the same ball, isn't it? It's just a slightly different. I mean, the impact that rugby league has within communities is exactly the same as rugby union. It's massive, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's family sports, so we all want the same end goal. Rugby union's struggling at the minute. Rugby league's been struggling for the last 20 years. They just need to drop the weird little I'm a union fan, I'm a league fan, and that's it. The egos and just enjoy it. Like it's all the same ball, isn't it, boys?
Yeah,
definitely.
Right. The last question I wanted to ask you on this, because we've got a massive amateur scene here. We've got several leagues. Would you hope for either the Glasgow side or any side in Scotland, or 4 sides, to join the systems down south? If it doesn't grow fast, because it might not pick up fast, but is that something you'd like to see, and eventually a pro club in the RFL system?
I think definitely. It's like I said, the Edinburgh Eagles were meant to be doing something along those lines, and like I said, unfortunately, I'm not too sure about what's happened there, why they won't be joining a league down south anymore. But I think if you can get them more competition, and instead of four teams playing each other home and away, 6 games a year for everyone, and a cup game here or there, if you can have them in a league, then there's that appetite for more games. That's only going to get it more noticed, and there's going to be more people joining and playing. The problem is, and again, it just comes down to the money. Things like travel. I'm aware that in the past couple of seasons, some of the games, even in a 3-4 team league, haven't been played because of travel within Scotland. Aberdeen is at least a couple of other hours away for the other 3 teams, and they've I don't know which side it's come from, or both sides, but because there's not much money there, and buses and everything get more expensive, some of the games haven't been able to happen. So if every team was to have to go down south, especially that Aberdeen team coming from the north of Scotland and going all the way down south, that might cause issues. But so it's a bit 50-50. Yes, to get more game time, to be more competitive, to eventually get a Scottish team in the RFL system and whatnot. It'd be so beneficial. But then put my other head on and thinking of it being realistic, it might be a struggle for all 4 of the teams at least. But what I'm hoping for is that Scottish League goes from 4 teams to, and it has been in the past, lots more teams, and they've disbanded across the years for whatever reasons. But from 4 teams to, say 6 next year, 10 the following year, then you're looking at having a couple of leagues and stuff like that. It's more games, it's more people playing, and that can only feed up to the national level as well, because as I'm sure you're probably aware, a lot of the Scottish national team are heritage players, which isn't a bad thing. Like, when you're not complaining, you're getting your Ewan Aitkins or your
Lachlan Walmsley.
Yeah, exactly. They're all great players, and you want the best players playing for your national team. And when I've spoken to those sort of guys as well, like Lachlan and Ewan, they've made it clear that it's not just a way for them to get international rugby. They're proud to represent their heritage and for whoever it may be. So there's definitely a market there, but to have those local grown players, make their way into the team. And I know some specific tournaments and competitions, whatnot, can require players playing in the from the leagues in the nation, so it would require Scotland to field players in the Scottish League. You know, the better we can get that league, the more competitive we can go up the ranks, and it just pushes everyone that wee bit further, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to see the growth of it more and more now. Let's just a quick look back at Saturday, England versus France internationals, both men and women. Did you watch them, Lewis?
I did. I caught most of it anyway. Yeah.
You did, didn't you, Jord?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Go on, you talk us through it, mate. Talking points, positives, if
Well,
there is any. There is a few, to be fair, but
I guess the positive side definitely is well, England were dominant. You know, they got exactly the right sort of result. You know, they went out there, played as well as they could, both men's and women's, and lots of debutants, particularly on the men's side. And again, I think there was a few on the women's side as well. Not too sure, but yeah, both sides played very well, beat France quite comfortably. Well, I'll be honest, I think that's pretty much where the positives end, in my opinion. But I'm not going to be really negative about it, obviously, because internationals in the mid-season is what we need to grow the international game forward. But what I don't really see the point too much in a mid-season international if it's not going to be that beneficial.
it wasn't. It was competitive for the first 20 minutes, and
Yeah,
then once the spaces started opening up for George. I mean, we touched on this the other week about George Williams and Harry Smith in the
yeah,
halves together, and it was good to watch. To be fair, at
it was,
times,
really was.
I was happy for Matty Ashton. I thought Danny Walker played really well, but like you, I feel it was a bit pointless in so many different aspects, especially with the crowd attendance. There was a significant drop from the All-Star Nations attendance. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah,
And there was a whole stand unused. I mean, we're meant to be fucking growing the game out, with boys.
it doesn't
How
look
are
great.
we getting less attendances for playing a registered international side over the All Nations side? I mean, I know the teams was weakened, but would it have been better to have it at either a smaller ground, or should they have not have rushed it and played it in France? Maybe.
I would say France, because with them playing the 2025 World Cup, they do need the regular game time, and particularly the home games in particular to grow the game there. Obviously, we've got Perpignan to lose, and a few big-ish Elite One sides there, like
Yeah,
Avignon. But I would imagine, obviously, stadiums haven't been announced yet, but it's going to be a bit more of a countrywide thing. You'd want France to be getting their games held there regularly over the next few years and growing it there. And then I guess there's a bit more of a point, and if the attendance is low, you can sort of understand it. But right now, as it was on Saturday, it's not really a great model.
No.
I feel.
Sorry, Lewis, go on.
No, I was going to say I feel a bit bad for, you said there's a lot of debutants as well, and like imagine that being your first England game, and it's a a bit dead atmosphere. It's a walkover game. People are dropping out. They might think next time someone like that rolls around, I'm not getting involved. I'm going to focus on the club side, and it sort of takes away from quite a special moment for them, doesn't it?
Especially the players like Tyler Dupree and all that who worked so hard to get into that position. It should have been a very, very special day for them, and I think this has overshadowed it a bit.
I think the feeling for Danny Walker, that you can't buy that. I think the feeling inside that he would have had playing in his hometown, making his England debut, and he topped it off with a try right at the end as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
I really like Danny. I really like him, but obviously you'd expect and want it like a full house, like the atmosphere, you take it in. So everything other than the actual feeling, it was pretty dull. But like we said, people dropping out. You said 14 dropped out on the day, or a few days before, didn't you, Jordan? But looking ahead to the next England games, I mean, we revealed it. Sources will stay with me. England announced the 3-match test series against Tonga that will be played over here. Let's talk about the choice of venues: Huddersfield, Leeds, and Saints. Ideal, or
I don't. The more I thought about it, because when it was first announced, I was like, that's not good. We need to be growing the game more, and Tonga's a good opportunity for that because they're a growing nation, and we're quite entertaining in the World Cup as well. So I thought maybe there's more potential there to spread it out more. And I still think that we do need that expansion. But I do think the rugby league heartlands need a few games, because as Craig Lingard said in my interview the other day, he said the heartlands are the place that is going to grow the game ultimately. They're the ones that are going to push it forward and support all these other areas like Scotland and all of these areas. So I think maybe we should have had two in the heartlands. Maybe keep Leeds and Saints, and then go London or Scotland or Dublin, maybe something like that for the other game, for the third game.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I thought that they would try to announce one, or try, because they rushed it. I thought they could try to go to Tottenham, because the Challenge Cup's back at Wembley last year. I mean, they tried it, the Challenge Cup last year. I mean, it was great. It looked all right. But Wembley's the place. It's 100 years that they've had an association with it, which it's a little disappointing that there's no major London team, and it's not been really grasped in the capital. I mean, if you look at all the football teams, there's loads to choose from. But with rugby, besides the Broncos and the Scullers are lucky to get over 1,000. I think rugby league hasn't been marketed at all right over the last few years. We used to have brilliant attendances, even going back to the 50s. There was like hundreds of thousands of people. Now we don't even know how to spread the game properly when it comes to a 3-match test series. I think they seriously rushed it. I mean, I found out the day before, and everyone was like, "Oh, that won't be the stadiums. They'll go here, they'll go there. Surely they'll go to Newcastle." I said, "I bet you it's £1 to a piece of piss. They've done it because it's rushed. Huddersfield won't be charging them next to nothing, because they've not had a good rugby attendance for a while. They announced season tickets last season, the Giants, for £60 early bird season tickets, and they didn't even do well with that. They can't even sell rugby league in what's supposed to be the birthplace of rugby league. So where does it go now? Where does it go? What do IMG do now when they come in? Because they're looking at it and it's all over the fucking place.
It's a tough one, isn't it, really? But I think if anyone can do it, I think you've got to trust IMG that they're going to get it right. We've got to fully back them. And what they're doing with Super League seems good. So hopefully they've got something up their sleeve with the international game as well. And it's not necessarily just about growing England and the game here. Like Lewis, like in Scotland, for example, they can have a massive impact on that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The way they go about internationals on a whole, and all the home nations can improve, but it's just right now there seems to be not even any desire to improve a game. We had such a good to a degree World Cup last year, and there's so much opportunity to market it more off the back of that, and like this should have been the first real statement sort of international announcement, and there really hasn't been anything massive from it.
I thought they could have done something really good with the announcement as well. They could, if they took the time, got the social media guy to do a really good video of the last time, like you when you shared the clip the other day on our TikTok, Jordan, with the semi-final in was it in Auckland that?
Yeah.
I think they could have done something properly, because that has got to be. It's got to be huge. Tonga coming over here for a free test series, but it's not. Everyone's moaning more about it because of everyone always seems to look at the negatives, right? But it should be massive, really, shouldn't it, boys?
Yeah.
I love Tonga, as you can see. This is my favourite jersey, so I thought I'd whack it on for you tonight, lads.
Yeah.
No, especially with, like you said, that Tonga being a growing nation and how exciting they were at the World Cup, and you're seeing more and more Tongan internationals playing more regularly across Super League, NRL and whatnot. There should be that appetite. That's not a random game against France at the end of April. That's two strong teams and two teams that could easily go far in the next World Cup, and both went a decent way in the last one. So there's like you said, there's these games that just, if they're marketed right, if they're put in the right places, it could be so much more beneficial for the game than what seemed like a rushed announcement. And something that not that much thought seems to have gone into.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it anywhere or heard it, Jordan. I can't remember who shared it the other day. Samoa, they're supposed to be doing one with Samoa as well.
Yeah,
In the year after. I mean, they need to get this right then this year, don't they? If they've got any chance of that succeeding. Otherwise, rugby league fans are going to seriously lose the faith. And the likes of Lewis, who has a serious passion for the game, will end up losing it. It'll drop off because it's boring. The players aren't accessible. Obviously the quality is on the pitch, but the players aren't accessible. They don't do enough. The amateur clubs and the communities are expected to build it themselves, and with no help from the RFL. So they're going to have to seriously get it right. But anyway, let's move on to this week now, shall we, lads?
Yeah.
We've got some Super League back, baby. Hull are at Wigan. I bet you're looking forward to it, aren't you, George?
I am. I'll be there on Thursday. I think the main talking point from that game, from a Hull standpoint, is Jake Truman is set to make his debut. And I think he's going to give Hull that balance that they need in attack. Right, for most of his season, been playing with one halfback. Like, no disrespect to Ben McNamara, but they've really just been playing with one halfback. And Jake Truman coming back, and having a full halfback partnership should really benefit Hull. And hopefully we'll take the game a bit more to Wigan than most people expect.
Yeah, I think if Hull are really going to have a shout of climbing up the table, it'd be a massive statement to beat Wigan right now, wouldn't it? In the form that they're in.
Absolutely. I'm not sure they'll be able to do it. Obviously, although I think Hull were coming off the back of a 2014 win over Huddersfield.
That's it, Jordan. Keep the faith.
And Hull didn't have any international players playing, whereas Wigan did.
Good.
So
good point.
There's more rest for Hull. And last year it was actually be almost a year to the day since Hull beat Wigan 31-22 last year. When Wigan came into it tired, Hull were on a bad few games of form, and Hull turned up and won fairly convincingly. So it could happen again.
Hopefully. Do you have a Super League team, Lewis? Do you have an English team? Or
I've actually not.
Enjoy it? No.
Like I said, I got in mainly through the NRL, so I was a Panthers fan, which I know sounds a bit rubbish now. Now that we've won everything, but no, I was a Panthers fan, but I actually started watching the Super League after, and a lot more recently, and just sort of enjoy it. You know, Hull KR have a good few Scottish boys, so I tend to just sort of keep an eye out on who wears that Scotland flag on a international week, and make sure they're doing all right and follow them. But no team for me in England. I don't support a Super League team anyway. None of them can hear me all the way up there, can you, Jordan? No. All the way down at the Championship. Wakefield at Warrington, I think I'm going to go to that on Friday. Let's just quickly, the main talking point there is Luke Gale being back in Super League.
Yeah.
What do we make of that?
Well, I think it's terrible business. I was trying to think of a nice way to put it, but there's not really one. I don't
call it as you see it, George.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't get why they've done that, because he was terrible at Hull last year. One of the worst players in that team. I watched pretty much every game of us last year, and every week he was very bad. And then he goes to Keighley, and I've not really heard much from him. At Keighley, he should be a standout player in the whole of the league, and I've not really heard anything about him. And then Wakefield have come up and think, you know, we've got a perfectly good halfback in Mason Lino, which we cannot use to our best. So we'll sign Luke Gale instead, who is not at the level of Mason Lino. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it is a weird one.
Yeah, it seems like a panicked way of trying to get a couple of points on the board, but you know what I've seen is just negative. Everything I've seen about it has been negative, so I can't see it helping at all.
Yeah. someone that was supposed to could have played in the NRL as well. It seems to be a bit of a new low almost for him. I don't mean that in a mean way to him. Obviously, he has had many years being top of England as a great player, but it's not great for him, and it doesn't seem great for Wakefield.
Yeah, I always preferred him playing for England than watching him for his club. I mean, he did all right at Castleford. He did okay when he went back to Leeds. He scored the drop goal winner, didn't he, in the final during COVID? But yeah, it's a weird one. Have you seen Warrington's social media in the last couple of hours?
Yeah, I have.
I mean, I think it's great because it gets everyone bitching and moaning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's what you're supposed to do, isn't it? It's getting interaction. So fair play to Warrington's social media man for getting that toolkit on.
I saw someone say on Twitter that Warrington have won Twitter today, and to be fair, as you said, they've got exactly what they wanted from that. Everyone's talking about them, so it's worked.
Fucking brilliant. Yeah, I've seen someone comment and he said, if he was in charge of ticket pricing, it'd be £100 a ticket.
I know.
But the next game, Catalans and Saints. Now that should be a tasty one, shouldn't it?
It should. Catalan are at home, aren't they, as well? I think so. That'll be a very good game. Catalan Catalan are doing quite well this year. Still a bit up and down, and not probably as good as they wanted at the start of the season. But they're still a top quality side, and have really shown that over the last few years. Saints coming over, and they're going to take that game out. They really want that game. They've played much better over the last few weeks. Still a top quality side. This really could be a turning point for them now.
It's probably the best time for Saints to play them, isn't it? Is it 3 losses in a row now?
I think so. Yeah.
So, and Saints are coming back into business for them. So it's probably the closest. If this was 3-4 weeks ago, you probably would be tipping Catalans every day of the week. But the way Saints have played the last couple of weeks, getting players back as well, and a team that's probably low in confidence. I see Saints taking it this week.
I agree. Actually, I agree that Saints will win.
Yeah, I agree with you both, boys. I think it's going to be it'll be a similar game to the Warrington game at Catalans the other week, Jordan. I think it'll be fast paced, straight from the off. And if Saints turn up like they did when they battered Warrington before the international break, I think Catalans will be in for a long night.
I agree. Yeah, but I think Catalan were a bit although the Catalan Warrington game a few weeks ago was brilliant, Catalan still were a little bit behind Warrington as well. And we saw what Saints did to Warrington. So yeah, I agree. It could be a long night, but I'm thinking it should be quite a good game. But I do think Saints will win it.
Is it live? Which game's live on the Friday on Sky? Do you know?
It is. Catalan Saints. Sky managed to strike a TV deal this week to get it on TV. So,
they've got a free to air as well in France, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's brilliant for them. That's brilliant. That's what we need to grow the game. I mean, going back to it before I drift off. It was illegal up until a couple of years ago in France. Now all of a sudden there's a World Cup. The sharing stadiums with the Union team and the elite ones thriving. That's what we need over here for our home nations as well, and the islands and stuff. Leeds are at home to Salford Red Devils. All the games are on the Friday as well this week, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm going to be at the Leeds Salford game, I think. So hopefully that one's good. But I don't know whether it's something to do with the King's coronation, maybe that we've rushed all the games onto Friday, but. But then you look at football and there's still games 3:00 on Saturday, which is right when the King's coronated. So I don't know, but and not to take away from the games, hopefully they're all good, but it is a bit of a weird decision putting them on Friday. Yeah,
but Leeds Salford, I've got a feeling that could be the game of the round. Me, don't know why.
I agree.
Leeds are a bit hit and miss, but and so are Salford, really.
Yeah,
and but they're both very dangerous. So I think, that's my pick for game of the round, boys.
Yeah, I think Salford have been up and down, but I can't really remember all the scores and that. But I've seen that Salford's home form is really what's letting them down, and obviously they're away this week, so maybe they're going to take a bit. Weirdly, might take some more confidence from that. And Leeds are up and down, so it depends what side turns up for them, really.
I think with Salford as well, at the start of the season, it felt like the great entertainers. You know, they maybe can't defend, but they're playing some really good attacking rugby, and I feel like that's fallen off in the last few rounds for them.
That's a good point, actually.
Smaller scores, and I feel like Hull KR sort of come in and become that team as the season's gone on. But they're like you said, it's both two very up and down teams, and I think it will be a good game because it could literally go either way. It's on a knife's edge, isn't it?
Yeah, very hard to call that one.
Yeah, and the last one, Battle of the Big Cats, the Leopards, and the Tigers. I'm expecting Lee to show up. I'm expecting Bowmill to put on a show again. Castleford need to find something, but this is I think this is going to be the wrong game for him to try and find it. Everything about Lee at the minute just feels great. I mean, even against the big teams, they're not getting battered. The Wigan game the other week, other than a couple of breaks, there was right in the game, pretty much right till the end. I'm going Lee a strong win with that one, me lads.
I don't know what to think. Part of me does think Castleford might turn up this week, but it is Lee, and playing Lee at Lee is very hard this season. So yeah, it is the wrong game for him to do something, but a win here would be quite the statement, to be fair. And Castleford do have Jax O'Neill back from a Villa, so we'll see how that goes. But then again, is he going to be lacking that match sharpness, a bit of fitness? Is he going to be an immediate impact?
Well, I'll tell you about Jax because he trains with a couple of my mates in Widnes. He was going to do some misfits boxing, all that KSI, all that KSI malarkey and all that. But that's obviously not happening now because he signed a contract back at Cas. But they always said they'd have him back, which I'm happy about. But yeah, don't worry about him. He's been keeping really fit. He might not be up to scratch. He might still be 75% for an 80-minute rugby league game. But we have 8 or 10 interchanges for a reason, lads. Do you know what I mean? They'll use him carefully at first, but he'll want to get his teeth right into it. And he's a good lad, Jax. He's a good lad. He might have come across as a bit of a knobhead on Love Island, but he's admitted that. Do you know what I mean? As long as you admit it, who cares? Do you know what I mean? He's not shied away from it once, so fair play to him. I'm actually glad to see him back in Super League, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got some bad news, unfortunately, by the way. My camera's got 15 minutes left until it dies, so
15 minutes. Right, let's crack on then, lads. NRL, the West, we touched on them the other week, Jordan. Yeah. They look like they've turned a corner. They beat your team this weekend, Lewis.
Yeah.
It was a good game, really. Did any of you watch it?
I'm guessing you did, Lewis. So
I did, yeah. It was, fair play to them, because I'd said at the start of the week to my mate, we do a lot of NRL fantasy, and he said Captain Cleary, easy Tigers, and I said I don't know. I just felt like it was a trip up game, and then it got to the game and it was wet. And the Tigers just took it to the Panthers. Coruscant, obviously Panther last year, you could see how much it meant to him. I think there's a stat going about that if the Tigers had lost that game, he would have lost as many regular season games for the Tigers in an 8-game stretch as he did in his 2 years at Penrith. So, that
is quite shocking.
You could see how much it meant to him. I thought the Tigers just stood up, and there's one point I think even I was rooting for Alex Twal to get over the line. So it was the weather was the big factor there, and they just played better wet ball rugby league, and I think they even completed about 90%, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
And fair play to them. I think the Panthers missed Fisher Harris, who's back this week, and Luai's had a quiet year so far, but I felt like I seen it coming, but was still hoping it would be your classic Panthers 40-point game. But yeah, fair play to them. Hats off.
David Nofaluma, I think it's pronounced, his 100th try as well. So personal note for him, he'll be quite happy with that one.
Yeah, that's some achievement. That's some achievement, that, in it, to get 100 tries in the NRL.
Yeah.
Who's impressed you? Who's impressed you most this year in the NRL? It's been a bit of a mad season, hasn't it? So
it
far,
has.
Like we said the other week, the Broncos are back. Panthers are a bit. Cowboys are right at the bottom again. They've been hit and miss last few years. So yeah, who's impressed you the most?
If you asked me this question a month ago, I would have said Redcliffe. Because for a new side, they have done quite well. To be fair, they have dropped off a little bit over recent weeks, but they're still doing quite well. To be fair, but I would say definitely Brisbane coming back. I don't think, obviously they're a top side, and everyone knows they're a top side, but I don't think many people expect them to be fighting right at the top again this year.
Yeah, that's down to that Adam Reynolds, that I think, boys.
Yeah, I agree. Right. He was incredible at Saints, not Saints, Souths.
I'd agree, and I think, to be honest, who's surprised me is South Sydney, which shouldn't be much of a surprise. But at the weekend just gone, with them beating Brisbane, it was the first time this year I thought they're a serious contender this year. It's not going to be an easy Panthers triple. It's not going to, the Broncos are there, but are they a Premiership side yet? And the Storm, as good as they've been, missing Pappenhausen. And dropped a couple of games. Same with the Roosters. They've got the biggest squad and pay anyone they want. But the South, I think, at the moment, have the biggest chance at the Premiership. And with Latrell Mitchell playing the way he's playing, and just Cody Walker as well, and the forwards really getting into the game. I think South are favourites for me, and next year they get Jack White in now as well, which
it's huge sign.
That's an interesting one, that, because after they beat Brisbane the other day, everyone was like, where's he going to fit in this side?
Yeah, it's a good point.
But I'd agree with you, Jordan, because we said this the other week, didn't we, about the Dolphins. If you would have asked me a month ago, that's what the answer would have been. But I'll probably agree with Lewis as well. And I'm not just agreeing because you're both in front of me. Genuinely, I think the Souths. I think it was quite unlucky when they played the Panthers, but in the final, Panthers were just too fucking strong, weren't they? Nathan Clear is the best number 7. The best number 7 in the world, in my opinion.
Although I think I agree with that in club football, but I don't think he was that outstanding in the World Cup. To be fair, that may be controversial. But
no, that's fair. That's fair enough. I don't, and people seem to forgetting as well. He only made his debut at the start of that World Cup.
Yeah,
that was his Australia debut against. I was there for it, and I can't even remember who it was now. I go to that many games; they just run through my head like a sieve.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I think Cook Islands, or was that? I'm thinking.
No, Fiji. It was Fiji.
Yeah,
it was Fiji. Yeah, England, Samoa, Australia, Fiji. First couple of games.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call it a night there, boys. Thank you very much for coming on, Lewis. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, mate. We'll have to get you on more regular. It's been really good to chat.
Definitely. It's been good.
Definitely. I really enjoyed being on, and I'd love to come on again in the future. And as much as talking about the Scotland stuff's good, I'm just a big rugby league fan at heart. So talking about the professional game and the actual competitions is I love doing it. So happy to join anytime if that's all right.
Yeah, perfect.
Of course.
I think next week we should be getting Reese from the Lot Pod on. He said that he didn't get his stats ready in time this week, so we should be getting him back next week.
Oh, he's not going to come on and start throwing facts and figures at us, is he, and trying to get us tripping up?
I hope not. It's going to be proving us wrong, isn't he? But
I know, yeah. But listen, we want anyone on, and if we can get anyone from ING to watch, Lewis is proof that we need to expand the game. This is proof right in front of you, lads. And anything that you want pushing or sharing, Lewis, just tag us in it all the time. We'll share it. We always watch, like, subscribe to your channel and all that sort of stuff. So we're all there to support each other on this journey.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Right. I'll leave you there, boys. Yeah, enjoy your night, fellas. Don't forget, everybody, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Bish bash bosh.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you later.